Barrell Craft Spirits coming out with their very first non-cask strength bourbon. Guys, this is uncharted territory for Barrell Craft Spirits, but you know what? Don't let that fool you. When it comes to blending and it comes to creating unique pours and risk-taking, nobody does it better than Barrell Craft Spirits. Let it be known. Guys, this is Barrell Craft Spirits Foundation, aged for a minimum of 5 years. The components inside this bourbon, it's an 8-year Kentucky bourbon, an 8-year Tennessee bourbon, and then a 5, 6, and 9-year Indiana bourbon, and then 5 and 6-year Maryland bourbons inside of this blend. How is this going to stack up to some of the legends that they have put out? Let's find out. So as I stated before, this one is their very first non-cask strength bourbon. Again, it has blends from Kentucky, Tennessee, Indiana, and Maryland with that minimum age statement of 5 years. Let's get the nose. So further into the glass, I get some of these very kind of sugary stone fruits. There's a lot of stone fruit that's present in here. There's some peaches, you get some cherries, a little bit of some apricot that kind of appears there too. Further away from the glass, you get a little bit more of those baking spices. It's kind of a mixture of a lot of different things. There's a little bit of saffron in there, a little bit of nutmeg, some allspice. I love the nose the further in you go into the glass because it offers, again, those very kind of like sugar-coated pitted fruits to it. Again, with it being 100 proof, you're not getting a lot of ethanol on the nose, so it's really allowing those aromas to kind of really evolve and kind of come through. Beautiful nose on this one. Let's get in the palate, guys. Cheers. Wow. So right there, so across the palate, very first thing, very nice viscosity to it. Again, it comes off, again, very kind of silky. Front of the palate is like a mixture of a kind of peachy vanilla. Then all of a sudden, those like the rest of those pitted fruits kind of dominate the middle and back of the palate. Again, you're getting some of that cherry, but then there's like those baking spices that are giving it that. There's like a rye punch that's kind of coming through there on the center of the palate. And you know, this one, I mean, the mash bill on this is 73% corn, 23% rye, and then 4% malted barley. So there's a decent amount of rye in here. You know, it's more of that high rye, and it has to be kind of where that spiciness is kind of grabbing a hold of the center of the palate. But it's like a spicy kind of cherry and peach. Nice, again, like that viscosity still kind of allowing this one to kind of flow down into the back of the palate. Let's get the second sip. The drinkability of this bottle is on a ridiculous level. It approaches the palate so well. Again, it doesn't give you that like a ton of heat where it's off-putting. The flavors on the front, again, you're kind of getting that like kind of peach vanilla. And then all of a sudden, that rye kind of grabs a hold of the center of your tongue. But you're still getting a lot of those pitted fruits there across the center of the palate. Into the back of the palate, more like a spicy kind of rye, and then that allspice kind of flowing through into the palate. A little bit of apricot there on the back of the palate as well. But for being a 100 proof bourbon, the finish on this is insane. It's a pretty long finish. It's medium to long, borderline on that long side, and I would not expect that from this. But this is a pretty good bourbon right here. Let's get a last sip, guys. Cheers. Way more caramel kind of candy. Now it's like, you know, on the front of the palate before it was more like that vanilla was kind of dominating. On that very last sip, it like completely flipped the script. More caramelized fruits now, those caramelized kind of pitted fruits. So again, you're still getting some of that peachiness up front, but now I'm getting more caramel than I am like that vanilla up the front, and that's kind of flowing into the middle of the palate and into the finish. That rye bite still kind of gravitating towards the center of the palate as it kind of flows through. But again, very nice viscosity for only being 100 proof. I love the blend of this one though. You know, you got the 2 8 years, you got the Kentucky, and you got the Tennessee 8 year, and then you have all three of the Indiana blends in here, and then two different blends from Maryland as well. I'll say this. This is a bottle that belongs on every shelf across the nation, even worldwide. This is a fantastic 100 proof release here from Barrell Craft Spirits. So I want to thank you guys for tuning into this episode of Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. I want to give a big shout out to the team over at Barrell Craft Spirits for supplying me with this bottle here to review on the channel. Guys, when it comes to blending, cask strength, non-cask strength, this 100 proof release right here is amazing. Again, this belongs on every shelf across the nation, worldwide. I don't think anybody could go wrong with this bottle right here. Again, the proof point is perfect at that 100 proof. You're still getting so much flavor out of the stone fruit, and then the vanillas and the caramels and that rye that sits there across the palate. The baking spices that really start to form there into the back of the palate and through the finish with that stone fruit. I'm very surprised by this Barrell Foundation here. Again, this is something I definitely want to back up of. It is such an easy drinker. It has a beautiful viscosity to it as it flows from the front into the back. Hell of a job here by Barrell Craft Spirits, guys. So if you're looking for more reviews like this, hit that subscribe button, bell notification to be alerted of any upcoming reviews or live streams. You can also find me on Instagram at Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. Till next time, guys, stay dusty.